All right. Welcome. So today we're going to explore applied artificial intelligence and focus on the practicality rather than the buzz. Applied AI isn't about trends, it's also about solving real business outcomes with AI tech and algos. And you're probably wondering why I'm reaching out to business executives rather than data science teams. Well, with all the hype, I came to the conclusion we should try to get some simple language out there on how to take advantage of all this. So why should you care? Well, number one, applied AI can reshape industries. I'm seeing it every single day, but there's a catch. It's not going to be some magical large language model that answers every question in your business. It may be one time. You may get there. In fact, we will. But right now, instead of focusing on this massive model solve all problems, focus on a broad vision and set that for the company, but be very specific with the problem. Build outcome by outcome. Don't build this Death Star just to have it taken out by a little missile at the end. Number two, your competitors may or may not be adopting AI, but they're definitely talking about it. So you need to be critical as to whether this truly gives them a competitive advantage or not. So here's a couple ways of establishing it, or just one actually. If you assume you're competing for 20% growth in a market and you have a churn rate of 20 of say 5%, then effectively you've got a 25% opportunity, right? 5% retention, 20% growth. Could you use AI to reduce that 5% or increase that 20%, or even just do something different with that 20%? Could your competitors do something similar and put your targets at risk? And so this is a good way of like really short term understanding how to affect those numbers and understand what's happening. Now, next, I want to talk a little bit about data. Now, all data has problems. I've never seen a perfect data set. And we always talk about data having insights, and insights are great, but they have to be actionable. It can't just be a chart, right? And so the difference in applied AI is taking those insights and doing something with them. And like, I'll be honest, software doesn't run from Google Slides or PowerPoint. I've never seen code written in a slide deck that get published. You have to write code. And so you have to take it from the ideation and put it into production. So where do you start? Number one's experimentation, not just at the project level, but challenge everything. Experimentation, implementation, transformation, data practices. Do so in a way that's very discreet. But I'm more and more convinced over time that AI needs to be treated like an engineering practice rather than a data practice. Number two, and we talked about data having problems, but also think about these explicit and implicit trends. So explicit is in the data, implicit is around it, signals around the data. So I'll give you an example. Maybe Tuesdays, your data shows a perfect day, but on Tuesdays, a foreman knows to move things around because the train schedule is different. So there's implicit trends that might not show up in your data. So the trick here is go talk to those people. Often some of the best insights I've found have come from those people sitting around the back, having a coffee, and they'll tell me what they see in the data. Number three, talent. You can seek out PhDs. They're amazing. They're very good. They're just expensive. They're hard to find. What you really want to do when you start this process is look for people that will try a problem and fail and fail and fail, and they'll stay up to 2 a.m. working on it, and they'll hit the deadline with a successful outcome. Now, you have to support these people, but I can tell you that in data science, there's no free lunches. Sometimes you just have to grind it out, and it's just this determination to figure out the problem. And if you don't have that passion, if your team doesn't have that passion and support, it's going to be very, very hard to keep moving forward. Four, importantly, ethics and regulation. These are important. We want to be, compliant. We want to make sure they're happening correctly. I want to separate what regulations are and what company policies you have. The national standards, NSIT, has a wonderful set of guidelines. They have not changed since prior to the White House Act. They are those that do provide all of the guidelines. That's one place to go. Use this as a way of defining the impact of your different systems, how to think about it, how to measure it. I think that's roughly the gold standard right now for what we expect to see is like how to run these policies. And they're very sensible. And don't believe the press here. AI is not going to end the world, right? We're doing a good job of that before we even had AI. What we have to do and really think about, how do we use this responsibly and how can we articulate why a decision was made? Lastly, ROI and business value. This language needs to be use case by use case. It can't be speeds and feeds, and it needs to focus on the original problem statement. And what I mean by this, if you're focusing on hospital readmissions and your model's trying to solve that, then that's the measure you have to use to see if it's working. Often what I see is these measures get changed around because, maybe one part didn't work, but the other did, and you want to show progress. That's great. That's really important. But it's also really important to make sure that the business builds trust that you're solving use cases. So that's it. Simple, fast, Real easy, real direct. Again, my editing skills will be average, but I hope everyone enjoyed it and has a great day.